Well, hello everybody. I am coming to you this evening with our very first penny report. And you might be asking, what is a penny report? And it's kind of like a treasurer's report, with the exception that I don't have any personal or professional accountability to anyone I disclosed a penny report to. Now, before we get started with this penny report, I'd just like to mention that I put a couple of things in place for this report, just so that everybody who views it will know that I am the real deal, okay? So the first thing is, you'll notice that I am wearing my glasses, and that makes me appear to be very smart. Second thing is, I've decided to put on my best bitch face, because we all know that women who are bitches get their way in the world more than women that are not bitches. Now, you're also going to notice that I've decided to wear my doctor coat. That lets you know that I am very educated. I've also decided to wear my rings, because this way none of you single men is going to think that I'm trying to hit on you and get the heebie-jeebies from me. And last but not least, I have decided to wear a very pretty dress, because we all know that when in doubt on the internet, all a bitch has got to do is show a little cleavage, and everybody wants to hear what she has to say. Okay, now here we go. I decided to provide to you a penny report of all the pennies that's been reported about during the month of November. Now, I could draw it out. This has been going on for years. As y'all know, it's an outshoot of a childhood dream. And I know it sounds like it's funny, it sounds like it's a little bit crazy, but I started to wonder, what is the statistical relevance of finding pennies randomly on the streets? Now, there's some schools of thought that could treat this like the nervous system, and when a nerve fires, it either fires or it doesn't fire, so it's a binary system. That would give us a 50-50 chance of finding a penny on the streets. Or we could look at it like a genetics experiment. Like, I'm going out to the streets to find a little baby. Am I going to find a girl or a boy? And if we do a genetics square, a Punnett square, we would also discover that the probability of getting a boy is 50% and the probability of getting a girl is 50%, all right? So, that's 1 penny on the street per day. Okay, so this penny report is from the dates including November 2nd through December 2nd. That's a time frame of 30 days. So statistically speaking, I could have found about 15 pennies. Okay, so my actual findings. Now, mind you, I wasn't out looking for pennies. These were completely, seemingly random encounters where I would pull up into a space like a random gas station or park somewhere in a parking lot, totally not preconceived, or just taking a walk along the street where I run into multiple pennies. And so this was a completely non-searching type of discovery. Now, aside from the seemingly random location of these pennies, one thing that unites all of these experiences is the fact that before each discovery, I was contemplating something of spiritual significance, meaning that I may have been contemplating a life decision, or I may have been saying a prayer for someone, or something of that nature. All of these pennies were discovered immediately following that kind of thought form. Okay, so between the dates of November 2nd through December 2nd, 2018, this current year, I found 34 coins. And that was a total of 75 cents. Now, of particular interest, aside from the fact that statistically, that means that 100% of the days, if you find 1 penny per day, 100% of those days that occurred. Now, the actual number of days where pennies were found was 12 out of 30 days. On some of these days, on many of these days, this happened more than once on that date. Frequently it happened twice. On about 3 occasions it happened 3 times. And one occasion I found 7 pennies in one day. And on the most active day, 14 pennies were found. They were not all together. They happened over a series of four sequential experiences on November 17th. Now, I did find myself curious to see on the internet what has anybody tried to figure out the statistical significance of finding pennies on the street, and I did look into that briefly, and I found one fellow who reported about it in 2016, and his discovery was that that could happen about 45% of the time. However, he did admit in his report that he cheated, and he figured out that there were some locations that he was more inclined to find pennies than others, and so there were times when he would go and seek those locations out, which was not the case in the events that I have been describing and documenting along the way. Now, interesting enough, if you go to Google and you search the spiritual meaning of finding money, finding coins, finding pennies, there are a number of search results that come up with that topic. Even a lot of videos related to that topic. And there are some sources that will say that these encounters could be messages from spirits or spirit guides or deceased loved ones, and sometimes they convey messages of value, messages of power, messages that you may be on the right path. They may indicate a positive change in life, and they may just indicate the presence of spirit guides around you. Now, isn't that compelling? Because I actually don't give a shit why other people write about the spiritual significance of finding money on the street. I was merely making the observation in my own life that there seemed to be a correlation between my state of mind and the discovery of pennies. All, again, the only basis for my interest in this was related to a repetitive childhood dream where I would find money in the streets, indicating, accumulating over life discovery. I also was intrigued by the observation that the more I documented each discovery and shared my observations with people, the more it seemed to happen with increasing frequency, and also the number of coins that were discovered in each event and multiple times per day in some cases. That also seemed to increase the more that I shared the purpose of spiritual discovery.
So, in conclusion, I have a feeling that there are probably more people than me on the planet who are going through some kind of spiritual journey where they may not be sure about the information that they're receiving, and they may be earnestly looking for guidance in making critical life decisions. And they may not be asking their friends and their family because we never know, like sometimes the only encouragement we get from friends and family is negative encouragement, or perhaps no encouragement at all. And I also have a feeling that many people do not take the opportunity to pursue spiritual life unless there is some kind of life circumstance that compels them to look beyond the parameters of what it means to be normal and successful in this world of egocentric materialism. And quite frankly, these posts are not for people who are pre-consumed by egocentric materialism. As a matter of fact, these posts are intended as a source of hope and support for those who are taking on the quest of living in spirit, and maybe they have never had anyone else in their life stand up who has the balls to say, I know what that's like because that's happened to me. And friends, let me be perfectly honest with you. When it comes to the physical manifestation of esoteric phenomenon, finding pennies from heaven is just the tip of the iceberg. Now, I'm gonna go out and buy my lottery ticket, and I'll see you at the races.